Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. It ain't them, it's us. Tonight, we're going to delve into some things that is going to have to make us look at this thing on how it really is and our part in making it work like it works. See, that's one of the things we like to do. We like to say what other people done to us. They tricked us. They did this. But the question is never asked, well, what were you doing when that was going on? Never. Always run from it. Don't know. Never thought about it. Home. So we're going to look at that because I put out a question today that, and as you'll see, we question a lot of stuff, and that's to hide what we should be asking. I just found out today that the mayor of New York was a Hindu, Arab, whatever they call themselves over in that part of the world. And so one of the Pan Africans, whatever these people call themselves, Muslim and whatever, took offense to what I said. You have a mayor of New York that's from another land, and you have the FBI director before you, and you had more engagement with the CIA than anybody. So I asked this question, and one of your brothers got on defending it. This is one of the things I mean when I say it ain't them, it's us. And too chicken shit to admit it, to move on to something else. So what I want to do now, I got this clip of this lady, and she's all over social media, and she's telling you what they're doing. And listen, I put the link to the chat in the chat. If you have something to say about it or you want to add to it, please feel free. This is a place you can speak. Nobody will overrun you when you get the third or fourth word. Nobody's going to say anything. We're going to let you land your plane. If it hasn't nothing to add to it to make it simpler than how I'm putting it out, please, all inquiries are desired and want to be listened to. So let's check out what this lady says about just what's going on.
I just like to come in and remind y'all, in the midst of all your white Jesus celebration, which even the Catholic Church has stated Jesus wasn't born on Christmas. I just want to remind y'all, everything you're doing, I'm talking every single thing you're doing for white Jesus's birthday is pagan, and you're practicing witchcraft. Happy Yule! I just like to come in and remind y'all.
Isn't that what's happening? And this is just not on Christmas Day. This is every day. Every single day of your lives, these people, the lady that I just shown you, You mock their culture. This is males and females. You want to be them. This is males and females. All of their traditions, what you call Black people and African American, are their traditions. But you don't say nothing about it, which is going to make your kids vulnerable to it later on in life. And remember, your children are your replacement. So when you reincarnate back into this, you'll be doing the same thing. So that's why we ask, what was the ideology, the spiritual ideologies of the indigenous people here, the people that you won't see on the screen? How did they look at life? What were their religious beliefs? What did they think of things? This was before Christianity and Catholicism came into play. These are the people that you're claim you're descended from, yet you don't know what they did. That's not nobody else's fault but yours. But what most African Americans and Black too, they like to blame that somebody did something to them. No, you did it to yourself. Because when we start asking you questions, you can't answer them. You agree that it happened, but how did that happen? How is it that you say you was enslaved, but your men was off fighting wars for other people? Explain that. What you call scholars, they can't answer the question. All of these wars you were in, and the people who you were in the war with are now mayors, FBI directors, all kind of stuff over you. Explain. Explain. And when you can't explain, don't talk anymore, because you're going to confuse these children and make their life way worse than it was for you. Most people live the same contradictions and defend life choices that they got from somebody else. You have the same thoughts over and over again. Why? Because you want to be the person who is making choices for you. All you have to do is tune into yourself. I know you want to be a Hebrew Israelite, a 5%er, a Hotep, Black. I mean, we can go all night coming up with the personalities that have been made up for you, and you just follow suit thinking that you're doing something. Time will tell. A butterfly is merely a spirit on its way to becoming an eagle. One more time. A butterfly is merely a spirit on its way to becoming an eagle. It's not going to be a butterfly in the lifetime that you see him. But if that's the goal of the spirit, that's what it'll eventually be. Of course, the butterfly would die out and turn into a parrot. That parrot would die out and turn into a swan. That swan would die out and turn into an eagle. It's reproduction, y'all. You're trying to make yourself into something that you are or that you want to be. And I just say backstep to find out who you are, and you can get there quicker. Just my thoughts. Quick question. Talking with a brother today, and you always get these cats that talk, and dude, you don't know what are you talking, and you can tell that they've been trained. So this brother was talking about how great the black man is, and blah blah blah. And I was like, sir, 30 years ago, black people were killing each other in mass for a white rock called crack to make the money to go buy other people's products. Two questions. One, what do you think our population would be now if those murders haven't been committed? Not just the people who were killed, but the children that they would have produced. And he couldn't answer. He didn't know. Second, what do you think lies in the fate of the people who caused all that confusion, who did that? What do you think awaits them? Again, I don't know. There's an old saying, what goes around comes around. Everything that you do, everything that you put out, you inhale, you exhale. Everything that you do comes back to you. So I don't want to be around nobody when what they do, and they're those type people. I don't want to be around them when what comes back, what they did comes back to them. I don't want to be around. That's why I speak like that. So I can hear the voice of others speaking the same way. So I'll learn something. I can't be out here saying no dumb shit. Like most people who are supported in all this stuff, they're supported by dummies who don't know. Look how long it took for people to understand Umar Johnson. You should have got that the first 10 words he uttered. And you let him go on to create confusion in the community. You're going to have to pay for that. You do know that, right? Everything you do. Everything you do is being recorded by you. Everything. Copper collar lifestyles gets it. Can't believe we're only 50 million, 40 million excluding immigrants. Copper colored lifestyle, I would suggest you do this. There's no way we're 50 million people. I'll give you some examples. I just don't want to say nothing and just to be saying it. I want to give you some examples of how to look for it. Oh, let me say this. Yeah, I went down to the Caribbean, couldn't get the glass bottom boat trip because the seas were too rocky and you wouldn't be able to see nothing. But I did get some images that show you the same thing, and I'll be showing them to you before the weekend is up. 50 million people of you, first of all, it's like them saying it's 900,000 fish in the sea. They can't count them. They can't count people like that. They can only estimate. Then when we take the estimation that they and repeat it all over and over and over and over again, it puts us in the bind that we're in now. They've been telling you what, 13% of the population for the past 30 years. Really? Where do you go in the world and the indigenous people are the minority? There's no way they can count the people. That's just to keep you in check. Like they know everything. They don't. If we could get what we don't know out the people who just sitting up, just walking around being your average Negro, we'd be miles ahead. But we don't think. You don't tell me what to think about. I can do what I want to do. You don't tell me what to do. You ain't my daddy, nigga. That's where we're at. And all that is fear. Fear. See, revolution is not about what it's said to be. We're going to turn this around and blah, blah, blah. You can't turn it around because the people who sold you the guns have the bullets that you're going to need to kill them. It won't work. We don't think stuff through. We just go on emotions and running our yaps, confusing everybody. Fear paralyzes you to the point where you're even scared to think. And that's pretty much about where we are now. Where does the fear come from? Remember, it's not them, it's us. Remember that song? I don't know how old many of you are, but it was a song put out early hip hop. Early hip hop. It was called Self-Destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. And that's when hip hop, rap, I don't know which way to put it, because the genre has been changed up so much. In that song, Self-Destruction, the brother Kool Moe Dee, and if you check him out in hip hop, he one of the baddest. I'm talking about to the cats that's been doing this since the 1990s. Can't touch these cats. Just go check them out, and just go check out the song Self-Destruction and see if what they are saying it hadn't hit already. So the brother Kool Moe Dee says, took a brother's life with his knife. As his wife, I'm not a rapper, so I can't tell you. But the last words of that verse is, I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man, because that's self-destruction. Isn't that what black men do? Better come with it. And if you come with it and say, well, we got a new mayor that come with it, because that's going to get chopped down too. So one of the reasons we never think, seriously, do it amongst your family members and other people you know to see. People don't think. They just do what they're told, especially black people, and especially those people who call themselves African American. Those people who call themselves anything but what they are, they're in the same boat. So where does the excessive programming come from? And remember, this is us. It ain't them. Where's the excessive programming come from? One, church. Isn't that the first school you go to is Sunday school? I know there's going to be some, no, I ain't never heard of Sunday school. Your first programming begins, first of all, in the home. But when you step out them doors, it's the church. Not everybody. This is the masses of people. Church. Then you ask the African American or black, what were the religious ideologies of the indigenous people here? What were the indigenous What were the ideologies of the people you see on the screen right now? Christians hadn't got here yet. Or maybe they have. This is them scoping out the place. These people didn't have Christianity. These people didn't have Catholicism. These people didn't have Nation of Islam stuff. But what did they? It's right in your face. Everybody breathing should know it. But we don't know it. Why? Like I'm saying, this ain't them. This us. Why don't we know it? We don't care about it. I don't know. Nobody's supposed to tell you you're here to figure out stuff yourself. This is a long journey, cuz. It's a long journey. When you got it, you out of here to pick up from where you left off. Because what you know now isn't going to go with the culture that's perpetuated now. How else did the programming go? School. School does what? Teaches you not to think and to repeat what you have been told. That's all. This is the programming you get. This is the excessive programming you get. So when you first get on the planet, what, preschool, you 3 or 4 or 5 years old, that's when you start getting the programming. And remember, you also get shots with those too, to keep you in a manageable place. What else kind of programming you get? And this is simple. TV. You get no information from it. None. All you are programmed. Pay attention to the commercials when they come on and the time that the show comes back on. You're being programmed. No, you don't want to know, but you can pass it to the kids so they'll know. So I realize most adults, what they call that, ignorance is bliss. Pass this on to your children, because when they see the mess that you've made, they're not gonna want to hang with it. They're gonna want to do something different. All of those, church, school, TV, and there's a few other, all of those work in tandem to keep you away from knowing who you are. You bet not know who you are, because then you would know what you're capable of, and the fear would drop. Liberation is not about freeing yourselves. That's why you've never seen it happen. Liberation is about starting the same old ways to sustain itself. Liberation is you're stopping those ways. So like how these people get over on you all the time, always being tricked. I mean, really, really over some stupid shit. That's what you're stopping. You're stopping. They sell you products. You don't buy them. They don't buy yours. And if you go back, that's how we got in this position in the first place. You always want what they got and not happy with what you created. Charles Johnson says it simply. And this is how I know you cannot know this. You got to know this. Knowledge of self leads to health and wealth. So, why are we so sickly? And why are we so I ain't got no money? Why will we kill families to buy a car? Just this is what black people do, right? This is what African Americans do, right? Right? See, you do things, then you try to blame somebody else for you doing it. That don't work, cuz. Being a good citizen simply means don't question anything. Whatever somebody says, you do. Whatever somebody tells you to do, you do it, no matter how dumb it is. Here's an example. This is what I mean. You can't keep blaming somebody for what other people do to you. Here's the perfect example. You know, I be meeting these brothers that be like, yeah, Trump is getting rid of these immigrants. Sir, Trump is an immigrant. You know, so how many years of thinking are we behind on that? Trump isn't your friend. He's one of the same people he says he's deporting. Worse, guess who don't get it? Guess who don't get it? And so when people come over, like I say, you got immigrants coming over, taking up whole cities. Dearborn, Michigan, New York City. And according to the social media, the so-called Black African American, all they're focused on is finding the right mate. Men are going to other countries to make babies with other women. Women are too. So it's not nobody else doing this to you. You're doing it to yourself. And like I said, when you come back around, you're going to have to deal with it. Change only happens when you decide to stop pretending that you're somebody else instead of who you are. And what you call black people, they're pretending to be black. What you're calling African Americans, they're pretending to be African Americans. What you call hoteps, they're pretending to be that. Because if you really think about it, those weren't what those people referred to themselves as. That's what people who went into those countries way later and named those people what they thought would fit. And you took those names and affixed them to yourself, right? And isn't that what you did? And isn't that what black people, African Americans do? Take other people's culture and take them, apply them to themselves, and don't even know who they are. Isn't that the norm? Yeah, I better stop playing around and start being truthful to these youth. Because when they find out that you dogged them out, lied to them, bullshitted them, you know what's going to happen. So when you're telling people this type of information, there are steps that they go through before they even get it. So when they hear this type of information for the first time, they're not going to get it. They're pre-contemplating. They think about you talking about you. Well, it makes sense, but Jesus said he was going to do this. That's in the pre-contemplation mode. They hear it, but they don't really believe it because they've been told something their whole lives and they believe it. A couple of years later, they see other people are picking up the information. Other people, they're overhearing other people talk about it. Now they're contemplating it. They're thinking about it. Hey, is that true? And then they're starting to ask questions about what the people who are putting information out, what they're saying. Ain't no ship can outrace a hurricane. And that's something they've never thought about ever. And they start thinking about it. They're contemplating. Now they're thinking. Then they come to a place where preparation, they're ready to take action. They're ready to look up their genealogy. They're ready to ask their mother and father's questions, their grandmothers and fathers' questions. And when they get those answers, now they jump into action, actively making changes, taking off the dashikis, dropping the Kunta Kinte names, getting rid of that Kente cloth. Now they putting in feathers, which isn't, you honestly think that your people searched feathers and made a hat out of them? Really? That was mocking you. That were the shows they're putting on. So these Native Americans, people who call themselves Native Americans, can pretend they were you. Why would you take feathers from a bird when the birds flew right up on your shoulder? The stuff we don't know. We don't know. And that's on us. We believe whatever anybody else tells us. After you take action, then you're going to maintain. You're going to sustain the change. You're not going to be giving all these other cultures and ideologies your energy. You're going to be taking the energy from yourself, your people, your bloodline, your history. You're going to start learning from that. When you get there, remember, this doesn't happen in a week. From pre-contemplation to maintenance, it doesn't happen in a week. Years. After that, you always have this setup. And you'll see it, and you've seen it in things that you've done already. You're always going to need positive reinforcements. And what I mean by that, people see where you're coming from. People see, like, damn, you're absolutely right. The majority of the world is not going to see it. Or they see it and they try to hide it. But people whom you may have grown up with, children, friends, relatives, they're going to see exactly what you're saying because you come from the same place that they come from. And they're going to give you your positive reinforcements. Some of the examples of positive reinforcements are you acknowledge your progress. You're like, damn, you done found out that your people from Jacksonville, Florida, and they were some of the coldest people in Jacksonville, Florida. That's why when you do your genealogy, look on some of the buildings in these places where your people live. They may be on the buildings. Remember, it's written in the stone. Always celebrate small victories. That gives you the wherewithal to keep on moving on because you're headed in the right direction. Not set up by somebody else, but set up by you. You have the ability to think. You have the ability to figure things out. You have the ability to know. Everything you need, you already have. Everything you need, you already have. You'll start solving problems. Simple ones at first, but then you'll get to the point where they won't even be problems to you. You'll identify the obstacles that's in your way. They'll become so small you'll step right over it. Then you'll start developing strategies, ways of doing things. So an example of developing strategies is that these people come in your community and set up a way they're going to make a living off of you. They're developing strategies. You'll begin to develop those too once you know who you are. And then you'll start with a regular follow-ups. How is what you're saying and what you're doing, how is it going? Now, remember, it's not going to go in the time of a TV show. This is real life. The TV show is there to mess up your time-space continuum. Time-space continuum. What you call African Americans or Black, they're not even connected to that at all. Their time is on what somebody else told them time is on. Time is not even a construct. Somebody taught them time, gave them hours, minutes, and seconds. Space, you think you have to be right next to somebody to learn. You think you have to be right next to somebody to pick up or feel what they're getting. You don't. You are a whole nation of people, and you have powers. If you knew, that's why other people call you other things. So you want to tap into everything that's around you. They can tap into it. And you don't know it so much. You don't even know they tapping into it. You can't even see them taking you over because you assist them in taking you over. Right, wrong. And then try to act like you're not doing it. So I would suggest stop blaming other people to what happened to it. Yeah, they do it to you, but you always got to ask, while they're doing that to you, what are you doing? So when you, and this questions are simple. While they had you in slavery, like you say, why were the men in other armies, France, Spain, England, fighting to keep you enslaved when you were enslaved? Shouldn't your sole purpose been in a war to end slavery? Wouldn't it have been? Wasn't the Buffalo Soldiers, was that about getting you out of slavery? Or was it about building places for the United States Army? Come, don't tell a lie to these kids. You've been lying enough. Weren't the Tuskegee Airmen supposed to be protecting you when they were flooding your towns, Lake Lanier? Huh? Thank you for your service. What? I mean, I'm serious. If my people were in slavery or Jim Crow or something, I wouldn't join another organization to fight against them. I've learned my lesson from that. And now all the people that you were warring against, they're taking over your cities, aren't they? Mayors, governors, blah, blah, blah. And the people who helped make that happen are those homeless vets sitting out there with their head between their hands, saying to themselves, I went over there and helped wipe out these people. And now they're over here right down the street from my mama. No, what you call black, they don't even think of that stuff. Pay attention to what's going on around you. You went and fought the Koreans. They in your community extracting funds. You went over and helped fight the Japanese against that. They're in your community taking your funds, or should I say, you're giving it to them. You went over to Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iraq. Now they got all the smoke shops in your community selling you whatever drug they got over there. Guess what you do? Support them. This is what's going on in America now. What you call black African Americans, you can say what you want to say, but all I do is see them go in, filling in them places, filling them up. And when I talk to these homeless veterans out there, they are kind of between a rock and a hard spot because they know they went over here and helped wipe out these people's families. Now these same people are over here living right down the street from their mama, and they don't know what to do. Now, those are the ones on the street who care, who give a damn. Most of them don't even care. Not even thinking about it. But I will say this about other people's culture. They really care about their ancestors. Whatever their ancestors, their culture teaches them that their ancestors mean to them. They really revere that. One thing about African Americans and black, they don't give a shit about theirs. That's going to be a problem later. And so these homeless vets who are sitting out there, that's what they're thinking about, while the rest of the people can give a damn. So they did that to us. But remember, when you ask that question, you always better follow up. Well, what were we doing then? Because that's one of the things that black African Americans love to do, put the blame on everybody except themselves. Hope you guys keep the thought in your head and your mind for what's coming next, because you better see it. You better see it. You better see what's happening. Because there's no excuse for nobody not to know what you're looking at. Remember the lady in the video that I showed? She got other videos. She's putting it out there. And she's telling you, she's like, no, these white women are into these people dying. We'll lure these black men someplace and we'll kill them. Guess who don't believe that? Out of all the people, guess who don't believe that? I don't know what to tell you, but do as you will. Do as you will. Keep playing. We'll see you guys next time. Peace. Then we'll have the footage of the beaches in the Caribbean so you can get a better idea of what we're talking about. You guys have a good night. Peace.